My name is Ken Johnson. I'm a just 40-year-old office worker. I have been single since I was born. However, I've somehow managed to get my first girlfriend at 40. I must clarify, I'm not particularly unattractive, and it's not like I couldn't get a girlfriend, but rather, I just didn't have the time to spare. I lost my parents when I was a child and grew up in an orphanage. In the US, you have to leave the orphanage at 18, so I didn't go to college. I started working right after high school. Life hasn't been easy. I worked tirelessly every day, barely making enough money to support myself. There was absolutely no room in my life for a girlfriend. Eventually, I switched jobs and got employed at my current company. I've been working here for quite a while, but without a promotion. Not having a college degree inevitably puts me at a disadvantage compared to those who do. Well, it's just the way it is. Compared to the old days, I earn better now and have some peace of mind. But before I knew it, I was 40. The idea of getting a girlfriend had faded from my mind. But then, a turning point came for me. A big project in the company was a success, and one day, a party for celebration was held. As I was somewhat involved in the project, I attended the gathering, seated at a distant corner. My role was merely support, and the star of the show was the project leader, a woman named Megan Taylor, so being tucked away in a corner suited me just fine. Megan was from my batch, but she's beautiful and thoughtful, and has the trust of her subordinates. Moreover, she comes from an affluent family, who made their fortune by dealing in high-end furniture. Despite us being from the same batch, our backgrounds couldn't be more different. She is indeed what you might call privileged. In fact, it's widely rumored that she's likely to get promoted soon due to her position as a project leader. I have conversed with her a few times since we are from the same batch, and I also think that she is fit to be in a position of power. She's surrounded by her subordinates, creating a lively atmosphere at the gathering. I was planning to pass the time watching her and occasionally chatting with the workmates who come to switch seats. Oh, there you are, Ken. Amidst the winding down party, Megan approached. Her face was flushed, probably from drinking, and she seemed quite upbeat. Well, she is the guest of honor, after all. I was just offering support. It feels presumptuous to be lumped with you, the star of the show. What are you talking about? It would have been tough without your support. I didn't talk to you since you don't like drawing attention, but you were a star too. Megan pouted her lips, and I simply shrugged. I didn't feel like I worked that hard. Then Megan took the seat next to me and held out her smartphone. I don't have your number, Ken. That's because I didn't it to you. Hey, give me your number. I was taken aback. What on earth is she talking about? Does she really want to exchange contact information with a middle-aged, average guy like me? Despite us being at the same professional level, Megan is 5 years my junior. We talk casually because we are on the same level, but there's absolutely no benefit for her to exchange contacts with me. Hey, are you even listening? I am. But why would you want to exchange contact info with someone like me? Because I want to get in touch with you. No good. Megan is totally drunk. She's excessively clinging to me, pestering me, saying, "Come on, let's do it." Feeling the prickly stares of those around us, I could sense my body stiffening. This was dangerous. If I played my cards wrong, I could be attacked by one of the members of Megan's fan club. Are you really sure about this? Yeah, I'm sure. Let's do it. All right, fine. I agreed to exchange contact information, but at that moment, I figured it was just a spur-of-the-moment decision due to being drunk, and that she would probably forget by the next day. Megan, looking delighted, took my contact information and then distanced herself from me, just when I thought I could finally relax. Surprisingly, this was the beginning of texting with Megan. Initially, it was just a good morning and a good night message. But gradually, our conversations started revolving around our evening drinks and work frustrations, and they began to become longer. These text conversations eventually transitioned into phone calls, and we finally started meeting up to talk in person. Honestly, it was a lot of fun, and being by her side brought me happiness. Maybe we were good chemistry, but I think Megan and I had a good compatibility as individuals. Hey, Ken, you don't have a girlfriend, right? If I did, I wouldn't be here having dinner with you. Haha, that's true. I'm glad, though. One day, Megan and I were having dinner together. While an elegant lady like her would look more fitting in a high-end restaurant, she adjusts to my commoner status and joins me for meals at regular restaurants and bars. At first, I felt guilty, but she seemed not to mind at all. In fact, she said she was having fun visiting many unfamiliar eateries, so I stopped worrying about it. Glad you are single, huh? At this point, I guess I'm going to stay single forever. That's not true. After all, I want to marry you, Ken. At her sudden bombshell, I snorted the beer I was drinking right out of my nose. Coughing and choking, I looked at her, and she had a serious expression on her face. Don't you like me, Ken? I like you, but I'm just not good enough for you. Oh, I thought we'd been vibing for the past few months. Was I mistaken? I didn't know what to say. I thought we had a good rapport too. Moreover, if I let this chance slip away, I'll likely remain single for the rest of my life. I admit, I did want a girlfriend at least once, and I was thinking along those lines. Again, I thought that even if we did date, we would probably break up soon. The worlds we grew up in were just too different. Dating can sometimes lead to disillusionment, and I wasn't expecting much. Even though I wasn't. Will you marry me? Before I knew it, a year later, I was presenting her with a ring and proposing. And that's how I finally found someone to promise to marry at the age of 41. There is an inevitable event before marriage. Yes, meeting the parents. Since I don't have parents, this event only occurs for me. Moreover, the other party is an ultra-wealthy family. Asking for their daughter's hand in marriage is bound to make my stomach churn a little. It's inevitable. It's okay. Mom and Dad will understand. Megan said this with a big smile, but my face was pale. Just think about it. Their daughter, their pride and joy, brings home a middle-aged high school graduate from an orphanage with no parents. What's more, I can't even remember my father's face. My dad died in an accident before I was born, and my mom died from an illness when I was about 4 years old. So essentially, I'm a lonely old man with no family. If I were in their shoes, I'd be flipping the table. There's no way they'll be pleased. But I want to be with Megan. Because Megan wants it so strongly. If my humility is worth anything, I'll be humble, and I went in with that kind of spirit. As I was worrying about how to handle it if things go bad, I headed to her family's house. Welcome, we're glad you could make it. When the front door opened, a lady who looked a lot like Megan greeted us. That's Megan's mom. If Megan ages, she'll probably look just like her mother. I didn't have the room to think about that. I stepped into their house, which looked like a mansion, feeling tense. Let me say this up front. The table didn't get flipped. Why not? Because there's no such thing as a table to flip. It's all shiny and looks like foreign furniture. I was overwhelmed by the fact that I had brought the young lady, who lived surrounded by such things, to a pub, and my stomach felt even sicker. Come on, dear, don't just sit there. Welcome him. I was led to what seemed to be a living room, and I sat down on a plush sofa. Across from me sat a stern-faced man. Yes, that's Megan's father. Dad, Mom, let me introduce you. This is Ken Johnson, the man I'm seeing. I'm Ken Johnson. As I lowered my head with a trembling voice, then raised it, I couldn't close my gaping mouth. For some reason, Megan's parents' eyes were wide open. Megan's mother, Susan, flustered, asks, Can you tell us your name again? Did I say something strange? I'm Ken Johnson. I know this is a strange question, but wasn't your mother's name Karen Johnson, and didn't she pass away from an illness? I became confused upon hearing this. I told Megan that I didn't have parents, but I never told her their names or that she had died from illnesses. I can't believe this. Susan, with tears in her eyes, stood up and passed me a photo frame that was placed near the window. There were two women in the picture. One was Susan, and the other one was, wait, Mom. Yes, the woman in the photo was my mother. I vaguely remembered her face, and there she was. Were you acquainted with my mother? Acquainted, she was a lifesaver. Susan said this as she dabbed at her eyes with a handkerchief and started to tell her story. She had a severe illness in the past and was hospitalized at a major hospital. She might not live very long. When she received this diagnosis and was feeling down, she met my mom, who was also admitted in the same hospital. They were on the same floor and had met in the common room. Your mom had a heart condition, you see. She didn't have much time left. Because of that, we became close quickly. The two of them hit it off and often talked in the hospital room. That's where your mom found out about me, her son. I have my son in a care facility. I lied to him that I would come get him. You shouldn't lie. You should definitely go and get him. I can't. I know my own life expectancy. My mom knew that she didn't have much time left. That must be why she said this to Susan. I feel like I land without doing anything. I want to be a mother that my son can be proud of, even if it's a little. Oh, but he might forget my face. He's only 3. I wish I could see my son grow up. He's really cute, you know. Look. My mom was saying that while showing Susan a picture of me she brought into the hospital room. He's got a good face, and his nose is high, so he'll surely be handsome. He's my child, so he's the cutest in the world. I'm just a doting mom, huh? My mom always seemed to enjoy talking about me, and Susan was apparently envious seeing that. Children are wonderful. I'm jealous. I'm sick, so maybe marriage is impossible for me. Hey, Susan, I had a dream. A dream? Yeah, a dream which twin girls were born, and the mom was you, Susan. So you will be blessed with children. My mom said this and laughed. Susan also laughed and said, What are you saying? It's just a dream. No, it's a woman's intuition, and my intuition is accurate. These were apparently the last words Susan heard from my mom. She took a turn for the worse while she was sleeping. She passed away quietly. It was too sudden and I was sad, but I found a letter addressed to me in her hospital room. Susan got up, took out an old letter from the drawer, and handed it to me. My mom's name was written on the letter, and I started to read it. To Susan, you have a future. Please live on. That was all that was written in the letter. But in the envelope of the letter, there was a ring. This is my mom's ring. I don't know why your mom entrusted me with this ring, but I decided to return the ring to her precious son someday. Maybe it was because of that resolution that I was able to overcome my illness. Susan firmly gripped my hand that held the letter. Her eyes, staring straight at me, somehow overlapped with those of my mom. I am alive today thanks to your mother. I met this man, received blessings. Those blessings brought your mom's son to me. Your mom arranged it. I listened to her story in silence, because that was all I could do. Tears were streaming down my cheeks, and if I opened my mouth, only sobs would come out. I thought I was abandoned by my mom. But I was wrong. My mom couldn't come to get me, but instead, She sent someone important to me. Maybe the reason why Megan and I got along so well was because my mom connected us. I can't pretend to be grand about it like I accept you as my daughter's partner. After all, you're Susan's son. I'm sure you'll make my daughter happy. You think so too, right? The conversation was turned to Megan's father, who had not spoken a word until then. Her father crossed his arms and he was listening quietly, but now he looked at me straight. Your mother protected someone important to me. Can you protect my daughter? I wiped my tears. A grown man like me can't be seen crying. This is a pledge between men. Yes, I will definitely protect her and make her happy. I declared so in a loud voice. Then, a few years later, I was walking fast down the corridor of an obstetrics and gynecology hospital, holding back my desire to run. I was heading for the private room where my wife, Megan, stayed. Megan. As I approached the hospital room, there she was, Megan, sitting on the bed. I rushed straight to Megan and was about to hug her, but I held back. She had just finished giving birth. I couldn't be reckless. You've done really well. Thank you, Megan. Oh, come on. How can you cry before you've even met the children? Look, they're waiting for their dad. I walked towards the two baby beds at the end of Megan's gaze. There, adorable angels were sleeping. Holding the tiny hands of the children, I shed tears. Mom, I have properly received the baton you've passed. Interestingly, the children born between Megan and me were twin girls. How did you like it? Subscribe the channel and it encourages me to continue creating. I'll see you in the next video.